Welcome to Stay Sane Now with your host, Claudine Struck. Just when you thought life was out of control, here's a show just for you. Now, the host of Stay Sane Now, Claudine Struck.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Stay Sane Now radio show. I'm your host, Claudine Struck. Thank you for joining us today. The Stay Sane Now radio show is based on my book, How to Stay Sane When Life Isn't. These books offer fast and easy tips for renewing your mind, body, and spirit, no matter what challenges you may be facing. Taking time to cultivate a healthy mind, body, spirit completes the three-legged stool of contentment. When one falters, we stumble. The only thing we have control over is what's happening inside of us. We are not just bodies nor talking heads. Each of our guests today represent the mind, body, spirit. The theme of our show today is parenting and reparenting. Parenting is not just about learning how to be functional parents and pass on healthy worldviews. It is about learning how to reparent ourselves and unload the programs that we in turn accepted from our parents so we can become a whole person. It is next to impossible to be a good parent and set up effective models unless we find ourselves and enter recovery so we can let go of the past mistakes our parents made in our childhood. It is about how to love ourselves so that we can in turn love others. Reparenting is a cycle or a revolution. We have come full circle in our thinking of what parenting is and how we do it. We have parented our children according to what the media experts, families, friends, and institutions have suggested. But still, we may find ourselves grasping for truth. Our truth is the most valuable tool we have yet. Many of us have not checked in to see how we actually feel about what our child may need versus what we are being told by all these agencies. Our first guest today is Gary Robertson, author of Do I Have to Grow Up? A book exploring the childhood developmental challenges which most adults still face today. These challenges actually do not go away until we do complete them. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today. My first question to you has to do with these developmental challenges, of course, because our listeners may or may not know exactly what you're referring to. So can you give us some insight that way?
Okay. What I focus on in the book, Do I Have to Grow Up, is the first 4 developmental challenges that we all face actually before we're old enough to go to school. And they form the 4 foundational cornerstones of what we develop and what we can do and what we can offer our kids later on.
And my own sovereign nation, dedicated to a transformation, marching on with this.
Welcome back to Stay Sane Now. I'm Claudine Struck, your host. Our theme today is about parenting and reparenting. Our next guest, Dr. Caron Goode, is gifted with compassion in assisting others to effect lasting transformation through spiritual coaching, books, classes, and seminar. Welcome, Caron.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm finding this particular theme extremely interesting, so I can't wait to hear what you have to share.
We all get into our certain childhood dramas when we start parenting, don't we?
Yes. I hear it's also called recycling.
That's true.
And I don't want to do that anymore. So it's great to have you here. Can you define for me what it means to have a deficit mode of parenting versus a personal strength model style of parenting?
Definitely, because, from the early school years, we've been trained to see what's wrong. Why aren't you learning your spelling? You shouldn't do that. That what you did is wrong. Even up until, 10 years ago, Claudine, even psychology was still a deficit model. So a deficit is looking at what's wrong and trying to fix it instead of finding the need and nurturing the strength. So a strength-based model might be taking the child's particular style of learning, like maybe they're a visual learner, And so rather than spelling out a word laboriously or learning phonetic reading, you would use flashcards, and you would help your child read by looking at words and correlating their meaning. So it's just looking at a child's strength. Like my daughter was, God, she was so friendly. She would walk up to strangers and say hi. But knowing that was her strength, she actually planned her entire college and future based upon her innate ability to love people and be with people.
That's fantastic. It sounds like a real cutting away of all the distraction and just honing in on your child and just seeing, okay, well, what is unique and special about my child?
That's exactly it. And when we find what's unique and special about them, we nurture it.
And my own sovereign nation, dedicated to a transformation, marching on with this.
This is Stay Sane Now. I'm Claudine Struck, your host. Our next guest is Jean Tracy, who has counseled families, children, and couples for over 22 years. Jean invites you to receive 80 fun activities to share with your children when you sign up for her worldwide parenting newsletter at kidsdiscuss.com. Welcome, Jean.
Hi, Claudine.
Thank you for being with us today.
You're very welcome. I'm pleased to be here.
So, Jean, with a book or a website called Kids Discuss, exactly what is your overall message in the book?
My overall message is that building character in kids starts with getting them to talk. And that means, as a parent, you need to know the right questions to ask, and you need to listen well, because then you'll find out how they think, and that will give you the clues you need on how to build character.
So again, it's coming back to listening.
Yes, it is.
That is such a huge factor I'm learning today on this show. Or I guess I probably intuitively knew already.
Yes.
So can you share some of the most common disciplinary challenges?
Well, there's arguing. Arguing with your kids is a big thing. And there are ways to change that. There's pressuring your kids so that they'll do well. And there's criticizing your kids with the idea that this is going to help them out. There's also smaller ones like kids who are fighting in the back car, kids who won't do their homework, kids who won't get out of bed in time for school, kids who hit each other, and so on. So there's lots of different kinds of discipline problems that parents face every day.
Thank you again for joining us on Stay Sane Now with Claudine Struck. Stay sane over the next week, and we'll meet again next Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, here on Seventh Wave Network.
And my own sovereign nation, dedicated to a transformation, marching on.